Good morning. Good morning, Facebook family and friends. Time for some glasses. Good morning. Good morning. And I have my coffee. I've been up already this morning getting ready for today and getting ready for my number one son. Uh, well, I'll just say it this way: on the kitchen table, I have eggs, milk, butter, nutmeg, and I have flour because he wants some tea cakes. So I'm going to make my baby tea cakes this morning. And he asked for some pecan brittle, so I made that yesterday. So I'm just getting ready to celebrate his birthday, thanking and praise God for him. My baby will be 52 years old on the 21st. God is awesome. He's wonderful. Anywho, good morning, Facebook family and friends. This is Sarah the Morning with Dr. Mama Rosie Thompson, and today is January 18th. The year is 2025. I thank and praise God for another day. Today we're going to continue to we're talking a little bit more about being whole and authentic and some things to consider in our lives and just some educational things that we can take back with us if we like, and we can look into them more and see if this is something that will help you. You know, a lot of this stuff I read about, the majority of it, I pick topics that I want to know more about, topics that help me to understand why I do the things I do, why I act the way I do, act why I give in to things that I give in to, why I allow things in my life the way I sometimes allow things in my life that I know that is not what I want in my life. So I always look into why am I doing this? What happened to me? I know a lot of what happened to me to cause me to be this way, but what can I do about it? How can I grow? How can I become better? How can I become the whole best me that I was created to be? So I'm always looking into things that way. And since I do that, I'm really honored and glad that I get to share with you. Thank you so much, all of you who will join this morning. Those of you who may see this later on Facebook or YouTube, I really, really appreciate you. Last week, last week we talked about the 6 stages of transformation, and those stages are: we realize, we release, we rebound, we reinvent, resurrect, and then we respond. And we said that a transformation does not happen just because we want it to. That's why I study. It's not going to happen because, oh, I wish my life was different. Oh, I'm not happy with the way things are in my life. What are we going to do about it? I realize that, and I know that, and sometimes it's hard for people to come to the realization to understand that you have so much power. You have power over your life. You can change anything in your life that you don't like. Now, we have options. We may not like those options, but we always have options. Say for instance that you're in this place and you need to get out of it, and you just you're afraid if I don't leave this job that I'm not going to be able to pay my bill. Leaving the job is actually an option. Whether you choose to do it or not, you can do it because you may not want to have to deal with the consequences of your option or the consequences of your choices. You know, all our choices have consequences. So maybe you don't want to deal with the consequences, but there are options available. If you're in an abusive home, they have shelters. They have places that you can go for protection. Well, I don't want to live in a shelter, then we would stay in an abusive home. So we do have options. So that's why I'm always looking for options. As what other thing that we're going to talk about that a little bit more today too, because today our topics today that we're going to discuss is emotional hypervigilance, and we're going to also talk about indoctrination, because some of this stuff has been put into us as kids and growing up, and we're stuck there and we don't know how to get out. As with everything and other things in our life, we have to define the transformation that we desire in our life. Then once we define it, once we start to implement it, we have to manage that transformation. Once we say, okay, this is where I'm going, we have to manage it and sustain it. So we talked about the realized stage. This is the aha moment. You know, when we become acutely aware that there's a need to change in our lives. There's a need for me to stop doing the things I was doing. Why, what they say: if you keep doing the same thing, expecting different results. So keep doing the same thing. Keep trying to people please, and keep trying to you're giving and giving and giving, hoping that someone will appreciate you, or doing all the stuff that we do, hoping for something different. If we keep doing the same thing and we're not getting a different result, maybe we need to change what we're doing. You know, we want other people to change and give us the results that we're looking for, but oftentimes it's us that need to change. So, and we have the authority and we have the power to change ourselves. So that's why we work on ourselves. We don't work on anybody else. We work on ourselves. The second stage of transformation is the release stage. We talked about that. It's when you actually begin to release some of those external components in our lives that no longer serve us. We realize that this is not good for me. I'm holding on to it because I want it, but it's not good for me. So we began to start to release those things. And all of this, everything that we talk about is emotional. So we began to leave behind that emotional baggage. And it's everything that we do, our changes and everything in our life have some type of emotional tie to them. So we began to start to try and leave that emotional baggage behind. This is carrying me. This bothers me. I know I can't do it anyway. Trying to find ways. I know for me, sometimes when I need to say something, I go through so much in my head on how to say it because I don't want to say it the wrong way. We're going to talk about that today a little bit because I can tell you why. That's because I've been indoctrinated that way. I don't want. Well, we got to be good. I got to say this. I can't do this. I can't. And then we don't deal with the things when they come up. We'll talk about them. And we make room. We want to make room for the changes that we're getting ready to make in our lives. When we want to make changes in our lives and we want to be better, we have to make room for that. We have to make room for that new furniture if we're going to get a new bedroom. So we need to make room by getting rid of that old bedroom. We can't sit there and say, well, this bed, well, I know this mattress, I've had it for so many years, and I know that it hurts my back when I sleep in it, but I'm holding on to it because this is the mattress that my mom slept in. Or this is the mattress that when I had a husband, he bought me this. You know, that kind of stuff, that emotional baggage that we carry sometimes that's preventing the new and the better from coming into our lives. We want to do that. And then the third stage of transformation is rebound. You know, we talked about this one, and we said this is also the neutral phase. It's can be thought about as the neutral phase. It refers to a period of time that follows any significant change, where we focus on our healing. When you make a change in your life, whatever you used to do, there was some emotion, there was some things in that. We have to focus and get okay with that. We have to be healed from that. Even a friendship, we're not even talking about romantic relationship, just a friendship. When you're in a friendship with somebody that you really care about, and you know that this person is giving you a lot of emotional baggage, and you let go of that friendship, that's not easy. You know, nothing, that's not easy. I'm not by any means saying, well, you just don't do that. Because, you know, in my life, I've heard people say, well, all you got to do is that. But it's more than actually doing it. You got a mental part about it. There's some emotional part about it. There's so many other things attached to it. You know, just give your kids back to God. You can say that if you want to. I give my kids back to God and let something happen. You know, we go take them right back because that stuff. We can say a lot of things that we've been indoctrinated into saying those things, but those things we're not told how to get rid of, how to get past them, how to get to that next level. What do I need to do? How do I do that? That was a question that came up. I'm going to address after this. This is the period of time when we nurture our body, we nurture our mind, we nurture our spirit. We allow time to process the change. You know, and we talked about people being on the rebound because they don't allow time to process that old relationship, and they still looking for that old relationship in that new person. Well, she used to do that, he used to do that, but we're not he nor she. And some of them, well, my mama used to do that. My sister used to do that. We're not mom nor sister. We're not brother nor dad. So when you come into new relationships, you got to understand this is a brand new person. A brand new person. That person has good, the part that you like about them. They also got to have some things you don't like about them. And I was saying, a friend of mine said to me, the other day, he said to me a few days ago, he said, you know, most people don't want an entire person. He said, you don't want a whole person, you don't want a whole man, or you don't want a whole woman. And I had to agree after they said this part. I didn't agree at first because it didn't make sense. But he said that, most people don't want an entire man, an entire woman. Because when that man or that woman, let's say the woman, I don't want to talk about men. Let's say the woman, you get this lady and she cook for you, she clean, she does things that you want to see a woman do. And you want that part of her. You want that part that she's not always asking for money. You want that part of her. But she has some emotional things in her life that she's dealing with. You don't want to deal with that. So you want part of her or part of that person. You know, you want the good that they bring, but you don't want to deal with the bad. And that's what's been our problem for so long, because we want this part of a person. Like me, you want this part of Rosie, but you don't want the entire Rosie. And then when you find out that you can't separate the two, then there's a problem. There's a problem. That's why we become whole and we are authentic, and that's why when we introduce ourselves, we don't hide that part. We don't bring, we always put our best foot forward. We don't bring you this part of me without you understanding the best, because you need to see both. If you don't see the entire person, then you're making a mistake trying to get into a relationship with them. And then when that other part of them, when the other part that you didn't see, how people say, oh, when you first get with them, they show you the good side of them, which is true. We've been indoctrinated. We've been taught to do that. We've been taught to show people that. We've been taught to hide the bad. We've been taught to hide that part, the hurt. We've been taught to hide the pain and the things in our lives that we're going through, the transformation. We've been taught to do that. And this is also a time for processing our emotions and gradually integrating the new aspect of ourselves into our lives. When we get ready to make a change, we want to gradually do that. We don't want to go from, okay, I'm not going to do this no more, now I'm going to do this. You want to give yourself time when we bounce back from the initial disruption before we move on to that future growth. After we realize, we release, we rebound, and then we reinvent. Once you get past that, reinvent is that self-focused phase. This is the phase where you begin to look at yourself. We begin to make new choices for ourselves. These choices that are aligned with the new me. Now, I won't do this anymore. The things that I have put left in the past, I go back and I make new choices now. I choose to tell the truth, even though I've had a hard time telling people the truth. A lot of time, not because I wanted to lie to them, because I didn't want to hurt their feelings. I wanted to say it in a way that they understood. And we'll talk about that, because we can't manage what somebody else do, what they feel. We want to be empathetic. We want to show love and kindness to other people, but not at our expense. So we reinvent, and we began making new choices that align with our self-realized person we saw in phase one. And once we do that, then and then we resurrect. Resurrect is when you began to rise above those obstacles that held you back in the past. Now, you remember a few moments ago, I just said that I had a hard time doing things, telling people the truth. So that was an obstacle for me to be able to get over that. So now I'm still sensitive to the other person when I speak to them, but now that's an obstacle that I have kind of come up. Oh, I've arrived. I've risen over that obstacle. I can tell you the truth. I can say, no, this will not work for me. I can say that. It's not always easy, but I can say it now. And I'm so proud of myself when I can say it. Like when I told you guys a while back, I met this guy on Facebook dating. And we met up at the Starbucks up at the street. We met up at Starbucks. And he kept talking to me about, black people don't do this and black people this, and that's why we don't have anything. And he kept telling me about all of what he had. This was our first time meeting, but he going on about all of what he had and see black people this. And I said, please don't do that. I said, that's something that bothers me. I really don't like when we talk down about people. We're not saying something to help build them up. Then I don't like talking down about people. So can we not do that? We could not even have a conversation. And I asked him multiple times. I said, so it got to a point. I said, if you do that one more time, I'm leaving. I have never said that to somebody. I would have sat there and listened to all that stuff that I didn't want to hear. I would have sat there, and then later on, I hid from him. I probably would even answer my phone if I saw them calling. No, I can answer my phone. I don't have to run from anybody anymore. So when he brought it back up another time, I got my jacket that day, and I walked out. And I felt so excited and so light, and I felt so exhilarated that I actually did it. That's what it does when we rise above those obstacles, when we have those things in our lives that's been holding us back, and they don't hold us back anymore. It's liberating. So we're now emerging. That's what happened. We're emerging into this renewed sense of self. We're actively listening to our inner voice. We're embracing these new possibilities rather than being held back by these old beliefs and old patterns. I would have thought before that's not nice. You don't just walk out. Don't just walk out. Yeah, I need to go because this is really bothering me. And if it bothers me, you don't get to decide how much it bothers me. I get to decide how much is bothering me. I get to decide if it's something I want to continue in or if I don't want to continue in. I respectfully ask him not to do it, but it's his choice to continue, and it's my choice not to listen. The sixth stage of transformation we talked about is the response stage, and this refers to the point when an individual begins actively engaging in the change process. And we began to ask the question, what can I do? We get to that point. It's the stage where we move from passively acknowledging that there's a need for change to actively taking actions to implement it for ourselves. And then not only for ourselves, we want to do it for ourselves and for other people as well. This is the stage when we began to ask, what can I do? How do I contribute to making a positive impact in my life, in my family's life, and the world? How do I do that? So that's what the response stage. I had a question that came up this week regarding this. They said, how do I actually go from stage 2, which is the release, to stage 4, to reinvent? How do I actually release stuff, and how do I actually reinvent myself? And I want to thank you, Mary Ann, for that. That was a great question. I really appreciate you sending it. Thank you, and I will try to answer it right here now for you. Releasing or letting go of emotional baggage. It refers to finished emotional issues, those stresses and pain. That's what it's referred to. When we letting go of that, it refers to unfinished. I'm sorry. Emotional baggage itself refers to unfinished emotional issues, those stresses and pain and difficulties that we experience that continue to take up space in our mind, affect our present relationship. Okay, I took this from Dr. Sabrina Romoff, who's a psychologist and a professor at Yorkshire University. To rid ourselves of this baggage, how do we go from that? How do we release? To rid ourselves of the baggage, we have to become, first of all, self-aware. We have to develop an insight to know that this is emotional baggage. This is something that's still on my mind. This is something that I'm still holding on to. It's still in my head. I'm still talking about it. And oh my goodness, my friends can tell you about Rosie. We have to become self-aware. We need to become first. So the first step is to identify the metaphorical baggage that you're carrying. You need to identify that baggage. What am I carrying? What is it? Recognize how it's impacting you. And how it's coloring your world. Because that was a situation with me, that I was still talking about this person, and every time I look around, I kept talking about this person. They were on my mind. We wasn't seeing each other, but they were still on my mind. And I know I would get tired of myself. I had to first recognize that this is having an impact on my conversations. My friends would call and talk about one thing, and somehow that would come back up in the conversation. What I had to do when I realized that and I didn't want that to color our conversations. I didn't want that to color what we were talking about. I didn't want that to be the topic of all our conversation, because we wasn't even seeing each other. It was a past relationship. Once we recognized that, I had to change my perception. One of my young lady, who I thank God for, said to me, she said, I couldn't understand why I was still doing it. I couldn't understand that. And she said, you're still looking at what it was like from the beginning. You're holding on to what it was like in the beginning. But you got to face the fact that it wasn't like that at the end. So I was holding on to the little sweet things that happened. Like I talk about that part of that person. I was holding on to that part. But I left out the rest. So I had to open my eyes and say, okay, you got to see the whole picture. You got to remember, you can't just, she does this and this is so sweet, and then you leave that other part out when you're trying to let go. You got to face the whole thing. It's, as the therapist once said, why do you keep calling somebody good when they don't do good things? Why do you keep saying they got a good heart? When did you see their heart? What did they do to make you keep saying that? And you telling me about all this stuff? If they're so good, why are you in therapy about this thing? What is it that got you still dealing with it and in therapy? So a lot of this stuff helped me when I hear from my family, from my friends, from my therapist. So this emotional baggage, I had to really be self-aware and develop this an insight. Once we recognize, we change our perception. I began to change it. The reality is everyone has been hurt and treated poorly. See, that was another thing. I felt like this experience was unique to me. Everybody in the world has been hurt in some way and been treated a way that they didn't want. and they have experienced some type of pain in the past. Everybody in the world. So I'm not now like hiding this or holding on to this because, oh my God, why did this happen to me? It happened to everybody. It happened to everybody. So the distinction became what I chose to do with those experiences. When I released, that's what the distinction came. What did I decide to do with those? Okay. And then oh my god, I'm sorry. And then to reinvent. Okay, I'm waiting a little bit more. And so instead of focusing on the damage of what had happened, try to understand what you can learn from those experiences. So we're not just saying, so when you, as you try to release, instead of focusing on the horrible part of it, the horrible part and whatever it is, try to learn something from those experiences. How you evolved, how you became a better person. I told you that's what I did for my being raped as a kid. When I became an adult and the things that I went through, I began to see myself as strong. You're a strong person, Rosie, because you went through this and that, and you went through all of this stuff that I've talked about here in the past, and I still have a mind to do things. I was still able to focus. I was still able to go to work and retire twice. I was still able to raise my children alone. I was still able to focus on my finances and the things that I've shared with you on here. I was still able to do it. You're a strong person, Rosie. That's what I did. Focus on how those experiences made you better. Think about those things, how they make me more empowered. Empower people, look for ways to empower other people. So I try to empower other people. God, that means that I'm empowered. And focus on the present. Whenever we have any unresolved trauma, we tend to have our feet planted in two different worlds at the same time. We're in that past experience and we're in the current life. That's where I was. I was in that past and I was in the current. It's important to recognize when you're responding to the current world through the lens of the past and bring yourself back into the present. That's no longer in my life. This is today. This is today. Today, I'm sitting here on Facebook with a cup of coffee. This is today. So that happened yesterday. Leave it where it is. And this is where the neutral stage come in. When we get there, when we realize that and go through that and start to see ourselves as stronger, then it's time to reinvent. We begin to try new things. Even if they seem daunting, we try new things. We learn new skills, like what I tried to do in my life. We learn new things. Take some classes, read some books, pursue some training related to the things you want to do in life. Develop some new habits. Incorporate some positive routines into your daily life. What are you going to do? Get some positive things going in your life. And it doesn't have to be a lot, but you start off to get some positive things in your life. And remember this too. If you start to do something positive or you start to take on a new skill and you fail in that skill, you don't have to stay on the ground because you fall. You can get back up. You can start all over. As long as there's breath in our body, it's a new day. You can have new opportunities. You can go and start again. Network and connect with other people. Build relationships with people who support you and support your new direction where you're going. Be flexible and adaptable. Make sure you're flexible and adaptable. Expect some challenges. Expect some setbacks. And adjust your approach as needed. We are so fearfully. We are so wonderfully made. And sometimes we don't take the time to look in the mirror and see who we really, really are. We are some amazing, awesome people. So unique in every way. None of us are the same, but we're all so unique and so wonderful. Be flexible and adapt. Expect those setbacks. Stop fighting them. Let them come and let them be something that you learn from it. So what that happened in my life? Now I'm going to move on to this one. I went down Main Street. Main Street didn't work. I'm going to try State Street. I'm going to say this here because I think I like what my girlfriend was saying to me last night. And she was saying that one day, I think it was her therapist, or maybe she decided on her own, to not to follow rules for a day. And that's going to come up later in the indoctrination as well. To not to follow rules for a day. Be flexible. We don't have to hold on to, oh, I don't know what's going to happen if this happens. Let it happen. Just be prepared to, if it does happen, keep your mind where if it does happen, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to go through it. We are. Celebrate your small wins, whatever those small wins are. Celebrate those small wins. That's how we reinvent ourselves. And we want to practice self-compassion. Always be kind to yourself throughout the process, throughout any process that you're going through. Acknowledge your feelings. We don't hide them. We don't say we don't feel that way. If we feel that way, we feel that way. We acknowledge them, but we're kind to ourselves. Be kind to yourself throughout the process. Okay. I hope that answers your question. If not, send me a message. And if anybody else, I'm going to look, anybody else got comments on her questions about how do you go from releasing to reinventing yourself, I'm just going to look and see if there are any comments. Hi, Mama Dorsey, love you. Hi, Elaine, I love you. Hey, Jane, Goose, thank you, I love you. And Minister Delphine, maybe you're holding on to expectations. She said, be mindful. Pastor Delphine said, be mindful of your expectations. Sometimes our expectations of how we expect things to go, we're holding on to that. Excuse me, try and let go of those. Try to let go. Try to relax. Try and free fall. Try to relax in your life. Try to relax. I guess that's the only way I know to say it. Try to relax so that you can enjoy your life. Try to relax. Don't try to fix everything. Don't try to hold on to everything. Don't try to feel like if I don't do it, it won't get done. Let it not get done. One thing for me was hard, and I always want my kids to be okay, and I never knew. I used to think what my life would be, what would my kids do if I wasn't here, and that was only because I was trying to do so much. That was only because I was trying to hold them so tight. That was only because I was scared for anything to happen to them. I had to take a hard, heavy, painful step back. Painful for me, step back out of my kids' life. And the reason I had to do it, because it came to my mind one day. How will you ever know that your kids can make it without you if you don't allow them to show you that they can? I had to take a hard, scary step back. It wasn't them, me. And when I took that step back and I began to just watch, when they needed something, I didn't jump up and say, here you go. I stopped doing it and just sat back. And I sat there and I said to myself one day, this is what I wanted to see. I have a son that's in prison. He would even be okay without me. All of them would be just fine without me. I can rest in knowing that when I leave this world, that my kids going to be okay. They're going to raise their kids. I see what they're doing now without me. But we need to get to points like that. It's not that you go do what I did. You follow your heart and let God lead you and be led by what your feelings and what you think. A couple of things I want to make sure that I address today. One of the things is we talk emotional hyper-awareness or hypervigilance. And this is a state of heightened awareness and watchfulness. Sometimes we become hypervigilant if we're constantly on guard and on the lookout for danger, even when there's little or no risk of something bad happening. I don't know what's going to happen if this happens. This may happen this way. I don't know what'll happen if I lose my job. I don't know. So we're on the lookout for it all the time. So hypervigilance can be a symptom of a condition, something like PTSD. That can be a symptom of that. Anxiety. It can sometimes be a sign of physical health conditions, such as Alzheimer's disease. Recreational drug and substance use can lead to hypervigilance. So people who sometimes get high, and those people who smoke recreational drugs, and people who drink a lot, you find them where they can be hypervigilant and always on the lookout for things. But when we have excessive hypervigilance, this can have a significantly negative impact on our quality of our lives. We can experience some impaired memories, the inability to regulate our emotions, or even to have trouble in relationships because we're expecting something to happen. We can't even relax and get to know the people because I'm expecting them to do this. I'm expecting something bad to happen. It's being afraid, but not afraid out loud. It's normal to have some, brief periods of hypervigilance. You may be on a high alert if you get scared, by a sound, or otherwise, that wouldn't bother you otherwise. Or for example, you watch a scary movie, and then at night you hear a creak of door, somebody slam a door, and it makes you feel hypervigilant. That's okay. But the reason we want to talk about this, excuse me, the reason we want to talk about this is because when we have gone through trauma and abuse in our lives, when we've dealt with trauma and we dealt with abuse in our lives, it can cause us to be hyper aware of other people. And this can be problematic when we place those other people and their needs above our own needs and our own wants. That's why I want to talk about it. Because we become hypersensitive and hyper aware of their needs before we do our own. If we allow emotional hypervigilance or hyperawareness to rule in our lives, it will cause us to have problems saying no to things that we should say no to, or things that we don't want to say no to. Well, I don't want to hurt their feelings. I don't want to. I just don't want to hurt. I don't know how they're gonna take it. I don't want them to be. I don't want them to be upset. We can't control it. If we find ourselves having a hard time making changes in our life because our focus will be on others, on how the others are going to respond to those changes. We decide that this is something. If you drink, and you go out with your friends, you go out every weekend. This is what you guys do, and you decide you're not going to drink anymore. Now you're concerned about how they're going to feel about it. You don't want them to feel like, man, I don't want them to think that I'm stuck up. I don't want them to think I don't want to be around them. I just don't want to drink. But now you can't make that decision to better change yourself because you're worried about them. That's why we don't want to get to a point where we're hyper aware of other people, more than we are ourselves. We have a sort of fear of saying no or goodbye to things that's unwanted. This causes us to try to have an explanation or reason that other person will find acceptable. Well, like I said, I just want them to understand. I don't want them to be upset about something. We develop, what we're doing, we're developing an obligation to other people's feelings. While it's important, it's very important to be empathetic and consider how our actions are going to affect somebody else. We do not have an obligation, and we are never responsible for managing or controlling other people's feelings. I want to say it again. It's important, very important for us to be empathetic and consider how our actions are going to affect somebody else. But we do not have an obligation, and we are never responsible for managing or controlling other people's feelings. We want to always be empathetic, but we are never, ever responsible. Empathy allows us to understand that other person's perspective, but we don't need to take on their feelings as if their feelings belong to us. It is not our own. That's not our feeling. That's not theirs. And we cannot manage anything that doesn't belong to us. We are only responsible for our own emotions and our own actions, not how other people interpret them. We want to be mindful of what we say. We want to be mindful of how we say it. We want to say it, how we used to write the email and they said read it from the reader's perspective. We want to do that when we talk to people, when we say things to people. But how they interpret it in the end, there's nothing you can do about that. Because if you say something to a person that they really don't want to hear, they may interpret it the wrong way anyway. We never want to get to a point of catering to other people's needs at our own expense. Nor do we want to feel responsible for someone else's happiness or well-being to a point that it becomes unhealthy for us. We want to be mindful of that. That's why I wanted to bring it up, because I thought that we want to be mindful of that. And we continue to be more whole and continue to be more authentic. We're going to encounter some things that needs to happen that we're not used to happening. We're going to encounter that, such as saying no without having a reason for that no. You may want to, you say, do you want to go out to eat? No, I don't want to go. Why you don't want to go? Because that's what we used to. Why you don't want to go? You don't ever want to go anywhere with me. I tried to take you last time. We should not have to live in a place in our personal lives where we're in this cocoon, where we're in this box of our feelings are so tightly held because we don't want people to be upset. We can't say no. If you can't say no to me, you should never say yes to me. And remember too, if you got somebody in your life and you're always saying yes to them, the very time you say no, you become the enemy. If you got somebody in your life that you say no to all the time, the very time you say yes, you become their best friend. So saying it's okay to say no. It's okay to say no, and we don't. It simply have to have a reason. We can be just that I don't want to. You know, I used to be like, well, now you know how sometimes when we have a problem saying no and we're doing those things that we don't want to do, we began to say things like, man, they got me doing this. They don't have you doing this. Man, now I gotta do this. They got me, now I gotta do this. No, we don't have to. We need to learn how to say no. We need to learn how to take care of ourselves. We want to make this is what this is termed as emotional responsibility, and it recognizes that only the person experiencing the feeling or belief or behavior can control it. So I'm not experiencing the feeling. Whatever feeling I'm experiencing, that's what I have to control. I can control it. Whatever I'm feeling, I can control. Whatever somebody else is feeling, I cannot control. We are responsible for our own feelings. We're responsible for our own thoughts, and we're responsible for our own well-being. And taking responsibility for our feelings, our thoughts, and our well-being, that's what we do. Taking responsibility for other feelings can lead to people-pleasing, and it can also lead to victimhood. When we start taking responsibility to how they feel and how they're going to think about it, it can lead to people pleasing and victimhood. When we take responsibility for other people's feelings, it can make you inconsistent. And it can also hamper their ability to learn and process their emotions. Because we got them. You know, like that little baby. We got the little baby. Every time the baby cried, Mama used to say, let the baby cry. The baby can't talk. Let him cry. But we hamper their growth. We hamper them when we hinder where they're trying to go. We hinder where they need to grow. For them being responsible for themselves. We hinder that because we're trying to take control of it. Not because we really want to control, but we love them. We love them and we don't want to see them hurt. And we know how things can lead to. So we do all of this stuff. Many of us have been taught this. This came from a lot of one-sided views, a lot of them. And this is what indoctrination is. Indoctrination is one-sided views and opinions. If we indoctrinate somebody, we teach that person a one-sided view of something, and we ignore or dismiss opinions that don't agree with that view. If we highlight specific information or facts while we omit others to influence somebody else's perception of their opinion. That's what we do. That's what happens. When we do this, well, the goal is to have that person follow a particular doctrine rather than being able to think independently. We say we want that. We want to be able to think independently, but there are some things that we have done and some things that have happened to us that forced us to, they wanted us to think, had us to think this way and to be this way. Indoctrination, what it does, it discourages critical examination of our ways of thinking and promote blind obedience. And this can be considered harmful, potentially limiting of individual personal growth and ability to make informed choices. The reason some people have not made changes in their lives, changes that they want to make, changes that they know they should make, changes that their friends are telling them to make, changes that the therapist and anybody else they talk to is saying, you need to make a change here. But the reason they haven't been able to do it is because they have been indoctrinated with a different way of thinking. When I thought about this, I thought about the indoctrination as a younger person, where we went to the beach one day, at the beach, and I had a bathing suit on, and my aunt could not get ready for me wearing a bathing suit at the beach. And I'm saying, Auntie, but Auntie, it's a bathing suit. We at the beach. It wasn't even a, well, you know, I hope you know I didn't wear no two-piece. But anyway, it was a bathing suit with a little short skirt. But because it was a bathing suit, she thought I needed to put a t-shirt on top of the bathing suit. And it bothered her so bad because I didn't do that. Because she felt like that was something you didn't do. She been indoctrinated to believe that you cover yourself at all times. You at the beach. That's what people wear at the beach, Auntie. She could not get that. So what they do, because it's been repeated, that message has been repeated so often and so much until that became her way of belief, that way her way of thinking. And when you try and step outside and be the whole of who you know you are, you're gonna get that kind of pushback. You're gonna get it. So we don't fight people, but we're gonna be prepared for it. Thank you for joining us, Margaret. Love you, and Elaine. We want to make sure that we're open to things, so they repeat that message. Over and over and over. And if I went to my other auntie and said, Auntie Patty, you think it's okay with me where it is? Well, baby, you probably should put on some pants. She would have said it too, because that's what they repeat the same message. And our brains are wired to remember messages that have been repeated. If you repeat it enough, our brain is going to remember that. It happens to us in almost every aspect of life. It happens to us sometimes. And when we grew up in the church, there was a time when women couldn't wear no pants to church. You didn't wear no pants. It was repeated. Everybody you talked to, you didn't wear pants to church. And when that person, whoever that was, wore that pantsuit, not that it was a disrespectful pantsuit. Maybe it was what she had. Maybe it was a nice pantsuit. When she came to church wearing that pantsuit, everybody else, you see, they think about it when it first started to happen, how the conversation went, and how that's that indoctrination. But we have to sometimes break through some of those things that have been indoctrinated in our life. And also when you're trying to be indoctrinated into something, what they do, they create this emotional response. And I really I hope that you hear this one and repeat this one to other people if you agree with it. Create emotional response. They use emotional slogans to create fear and to manipulate people. I know you're going through this. They paint this picture with words that allows others to connect with what they're saying. I know you're going through. I know. I don't like when people do that for me. You want to go through. Everything in my life, God is good. My life is wonderful. I'm being held in the hollow of his hand. I'm a Christian. I'm held in the hollow of his hand. I don't care what the enemy does, because the word has already told me what he's going to do. But I also know who holds me. So we can get to that point. We want to be mindful of those things, those emotional responses. I see this on Facebook a lot of time. Your haters. And a lot of these people are not hating on us. They're not hating on us, saying people. They are not hating on us. They jealous of me. They're not thinking about you. And if they are, so what? So what? Or they jealous. And I've seen it so many times, and I hear it so often. But that's that picture. That's what we've been indoctrinated to believe. That everybody, we in church sitting beside our sisters and brothers, and we think they hate us. Because they said something. They may have said something. But instead of going back and talk to them, that's another thing. Instead of bringing it out in the open to say something, we're dealing with this stuff on the inside because we have been indoctrinated to a point that we can't even tell the truth. We can't even speak. You know what? That bothers me. It was hard. It's hard. It is not easy. It's not easy. I don't know about you, but it was not easy for me to have to say some of the things that I have had to say. I remember we were talking to a couple of managers because I was a co-manager, and my manager would tell me things to do, and my co-manager, his manager, I would go to him and say, well, my manager said we need to do this, and he would tell me, well, my manager didn't mention it. So that means that he wasn't doing it. So now I got to do both our work because I need to meet what my manager said. And when he's not helping me, he getting credit for it because we're co-managing, but he's not doing anything. So when we went and had a meeting with our managers, the four of us, and I said it, and I didn't know how it was going to come out. I didn't know how they were going to accept it. And I said, I hope that I'm being respectful, but I have to say that you guys, the managers, are the problem. You're causing a problem, and you're making it hard for me to do my work because you're making it hard, and you're putting a lot more on me because you're telling me that my manager's telling me to do something. When I go to him, he said, you're not telling him. So you guys, it would really be helpful to us if you guys would get on the same page, and when one of you say something, say it to the both of us, since we got to have two different managers. That kind of stuff, to say that to people is not always easy. Because I have been taught, you obey those that have rule over you. You don't say nothing back. That's the way I was indoctrinated. I didn't say nothing. I didn't say no. I tried to show everybody that I was good. I let people do whatever they wanted to do, and I just sat back and maybe talked to my sister about it, but I didn't confront them about the things that they did to me. And also it can prevent people from questioning, evaluating their belief. You don't question it. This is how it is. I was talking to somebody about wearing. I guess I talk a lot through the week. Mentor people. People call me for advice. People call me just because they need to talk. And I was talking about. We were talking about. You don't wear white after a certain time of the year. You can wear your white that you pay for any time you want to wear it. Or I told somebody, for those who don't know, I bought me a mink for the holidays. I bought me a mink for Christmas. That was my gift to me. And somebody said to me, do people wear minks anymore? See, people don't have to wear minks anymore. Rosie would be wearing her mink. Then I had a girlfriend ask me, where are you going to wear it to? I told her, Aldi, wherever I choose to. We have been indoctrinated so sadly until we can't even flow. It's hard for us to let go and fly and to do those things. We've been indoctrinated even till we're afraid to leave work. We're afraid to do things. We're afraid to live our lives. We're afraid to be real and open and let the whole of who we are come out of us. Like my girlfriend said last night, we're afraid to she said, stop following rules for a day. All those things that the world has said, we got to do it this way. Our lives is so much bigger than that. And another thing that we do, we use selective facts. Be mindful of selective facts. Incomplete or biased information to support a specific belief. Because the mind unconsciously screens any new information to fit its existing belief. So anytime new information is presented, your mind will screen it, unconsciously screen that new information to see if it fits with what you believe. And people begin to tend to notice objects in the environment, things in our environment that align with our goals. We notice those things. The problem is selective facts gathering can lead to invalid conclusions that are not always supported by evidence. There was no evidence to say to my auntie that I shouldn't wear a bathing suit at the beach. And that went on until I had to say to when I had a daughter, and she wore a bathing suit and went to this to an affair, and they was in the pool. They told her to put on a t-shirt, and I said no. No, because whoever, she's in the pool. I would understand if she walking down the street, with half dressed or something. No, and another thing, like I saw the young lady say, these old women trying to be young and because they wearing nail polish. If she wants to wear nail polish and she feel that makes her look pretty, girl, wear your nail polish. If she want to be 92 and put on lipstick, girl, put on your lipstick. Because we've been indoctrinated to believe that people, when they get a certain age, they supposed to just plain old die. And I'm going to do like Elder Cheers told me. I'm going to live. He said he's not coming to my first funeral. He's just going to wait and see if I'm really dead and come to the second one. We're going to live until the day we die. That's what we choose to do. That means that we're going to enjoy our lives. We're going to live free in our lives. We're going to be the whole of everything that we can be and want to be. And even when we're not feeling comfortable, we're a little bit afraid to do it. We're going to do it anyway. Because that's who we are. That's what we're whole. We're authentic. We were created that way. We deserve to have this life. We deserve to live our life. You deserve, if you want to polish your toes and your nails. Nobody's competing with our young women. We're hoping that they get to a point one day where they know that they don't have to die when they get older. I remember the older guy told me, he said, some people, I don't know, he's in his 80s. He said, some people my age wouldn't buy a new car, but I'm going to buy me a new car. I'm like, I love it. Who say you can't buy a new car if you're still driving and you're still able to drive? Who say you can't go buy a new car because you got older? Who say you can't go get indebted with your new house if you got credit? Who said that? Who said that your life is just decided that now that you've gotten to be over 60 that all you're supposed to do is sit at home and babysit grandkids? The devil, no, who said that? Who said that? These social norms that we have taken on and that reinforce our belief that this is the way it should go. Who said that? If you want to think now that every mama over 60 should be sitting at home babysit, let me take you back so you will understand why it's not that way anymore. My parents sat home and babysat. Because that's all they did. They didn't have all the things that we didn't have social media. They didn't go out. We lived so far in the country. We didn't go no place at all. There was nothing else to do for them. Nothing else to do for them. And I tell you what they did do. They babysat their own kids. They were home. They worked every day. They babysat us. They cooked for us. They cleaned the house. They worked really hard. They worked really hard. So we, as time evolves and as we do things differently, I'm not working in the field from sun up to sundown. I'm sitting at a desk and working and making my money, my own money. I deserve it. I earn that. They should. I wish they had it too. We deserve vacations. We don't sit home because you don't want to go and do it our way. Do it your way. But this is our lives. We're individuals. We're individual. Be mindful when we talk about when we see that sister out there and she's in the 80s and she got on her lipstick and makeup. So what? Maybe she didn't put on that blush too good. It's a little bit darker over here than it is on the other side. So what? If she looked in that mirror and feel like she looked good, then God bless her, because that's what empowered people do. When you're empowered, you empower other people. Empowered people don't talk about other people. We empower them to be the best that they can be for themselves, not for me. It's not about me. So be mindful. Be mindful of being so aware of other people. Hypervigilance and hyper awareness of other people until we leave ourselves out. Be aware of the things that's been indoctrinated to us. Do your own research. Do your own study. Go and find out. Don't allow your life to I'm just going to sit here because I'm this. No, you don't have to. If you want to, you can, but you don't have to. You can live your life any way you want. You can go and enjoy your life. You can go out to dinner, and you don't have to have anybody to go with you. Whatever these doors open for you, whatever doors are open for you, you can go through that door. I told you I was sitting home saying to myself, God, I don't have a lot of friends. I'm here by myself, and I thought it came to me. He created a whole world of people. Open yourself out and you'll have friends. Open yourself up and you can meet new people. But if you want to sit in there, we have choices to do that as well. Thank you, and thank you again. No matter, amen. Sister Pooh, so what's wrong with wearing nail polish? Nothing. What's wrong with wearing makeup? Nothing, if that's what you choose to do. Nothing. The women, I see women that's my age and older, and they look way good, young and looking good. They're enjoying their life. They raise their kids. They're not enjoy your life. This is yours. It's yours. You can do what you want to do. You can do what you want to do. The problem is not the person that puts on the makeup or put on the lipstick. That's not the person with the problem. The person with the problem is the one who got a lot to say about it, because they are not free in themselves to do what they so it bothers them that they see you doing something that they can't do, that they don't have I don't know what the word is, but they don't have the not the passion. It's not that, but they don't have the strength. They don't have that inside of them to go outside of the norm and do what they want to do. They don't know how to go outside. They see the bathing suit, they like it too. They see these pretty dresses, they like it too. But because somebody may say something about it, I don't want to do it. I don't want to wear it. The courage. Thank you, Mama Doris. They don't have the courage to do it. That's what it is. The courage to do it. If you want to do it, you be you. We are being whole and authentic. We know that we are so fearfully, we are so wonderfully made. There is so much out here, and we can put ourselves in this box and only live this much, or we can let ourselves go and then live a life. It was even the feedback. We went to Shalina. I took my daughter and granddaughter. We went to see the bull riders, and I got a lot of feedback about going to see the bull riders, and I know what it is. From the same people that wish that they was that free to go and do stuff like I do. I just do stuff. If I make a mistake, I make a mistake. I went to the concert with strangers. First of all, people didn't feel like I should be at the concert because it wasn't a gospel concert, and I'm an ordained minister. But I was at the concert, and I had a really good time, and I was there with strangers. Yeah, they drank. But guess what? When I went back to the second concert with the guy was saying he wanted to hear more about what I talk about, because he know that I talk about the Bible and I talk about God. We close ourselves up even to being able to help somebody else, because we have gotten stuck in these places. We've been indoctrinated into so many things that are not even true, and we have not even researched it ourselves. We didn't look to see if it was right. We just accepted those things as they were and applied them to our lives. That's all I want to say today. I really thank and praise God. Thank you, each and every one of you, for joining today. I will be back on Friday morning with Friday's Word, and I will be back on Saturday morning. And I really don't know what topic we'll be talking about on Saturday anymore. I don't know. But I'll come back on Saturday morning, and whatever I have for the week or whatever comes up, because normally I get the topics by having conversation with various people through the week, and they will say something that that'll touch me, and I go back and research and stuff. But if you have any topic that we should talk about, let me know. Or anytime, if you'd like to come on and be my guest, and there's a topic that you'd like to discuss, let me know, and maybe we can come on and do it together. Thank you again for all you who joined. Thank you for those who will watch it later on Facebook or YouTube. You'll have a wonderful day with our affirmations before we go. And you can please repeat after me. I am worthy of achieving my goals. I prioritize my health and my well-being. I attract opportunities that align with my goals. I let go of what no longer serves me. I embrace progress over perfection. I am becoming the best version of myself. And I am always a safe place for myself. Thank you once again. You all have a wonderful day. I thank you, thank you, thank you. And I hope to see you again. Have a blessed day. Thank you, Mama. Bye.